Hey guys, I'm Lewis Williams. I'm 27. I'm from Roanoke, Virginia. I've been bass fishing for as long as I can remember, and I've fished anywhere from Florida up to Delaware, Texas, a couple states in between. And today I'm going to show you my favorite way to catch them, which is pitching and flipping. Pitching and flipping are two techniques that you can use to place your bait tightly into cover where big fish may lay. My favorite baits to use for pitching and flipping are a jig like this MISSILEBAITS mini flip with a D-bomb trailer, or a Texas rig with creature baits like this baby destroyer or the MISSILEBAITS D-bomb. I like using the Texas rig with the creature baits for grass fishing, to where those fish will be in the grass and you're just pitching into holes, or for cattails or anything like that, to where I can fish a lot faster to present it to those fish in a more efficient way. When I'm pitching and flipping, the setup that I like to use is a 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod with a high gear ratio or a fast reel, 12-pound line, and a 1/4 ounce weight with a flipping hook. And I like pegging it in ponds just because of a lot of the ponds that I've fished have grass in them, and this just keeps everything nice and streamlined, and you don't have to worry about your weight going off course at all. When pitching and flipping, the biggest thing about pitching and flipping is to keep your bait as close to the water as possible. This is a technique that is super stealthy, so that you're not creating a whole lot of splash. It's essentially surprising the fish by dropping the bait right in front of them, and by having a smaller splash, it's going to get you bit a lot more than a lot of other things. When casting this, I'm controlling the speed of my line and everything with my thumb, and also keeping it at as parallel to the water as possible, so that I can thumb it and slow it down to where it just drops barely into the water, which a lot of times will get you more bites than having a huge splash that can potentially scare the fish away. When pitching and flipping, you're predominantly using a bait casting reel or a bait casting setup, and the two key components that you use are your thumb and your wrist. It's a underhand cast that you control with your thumb, as far as how fast your line's coming out and where your line or where your bait goes, and your wrist, it's like a pivot point. I like using mine to where the butt of my rod is going to the inside. Some people do outside. That is something that you'll have to figure out for yourself. It's all personal preference. But for me, I like coming inside and making more of a straight line approach. And another thing is, sometimes you might see people try to flip with the reel pointed straight up. The best thing to do is to point it sideways, so that less friction is being put on your the gears on your reel, and you get more of a fluid cast, and it keeps your bait starts your bait off at a more parallel to the water, as opposed to right with your reel pointed up, which is going to automatically put you at a positive pendulum in your cast. The difference between pitching and flipping on a pond as opposed to a lake is going to be where you're casting to. In a pond, for the most part, you're going to be casting out towards the middle of the pond, whereas on a lake, you're going to be casting more towards the bank. All of your targets are going to be more bank oriented. When fishing in a pond with pitching and flipping, or while pitching and flipping in a pond, you got to remember, it's a super target specific technique. So all you're really going to do after you make your cast is, or at least for me, all I do is I'll hop it 2 or 3 times, let it sit. I might drag it just a little bit and maybe hop it once again, but after that I'm just going to reel it back in and make another flip.